Hey guys, this is Podfic, and today we're going to be reading Don't You Forget About Me by So Hot That Everyone Died. The summary is, a mysterious stranger visits the Batfamily during the holidays. He remembers all of them, but they don't remember him. Alright, without further ado, let's hop right in. You beat the high score, an unfamiliar voice observes behind Damien. Impressive. Damien's instincts demand that he respond with a prompt flying kick to the solar plexus for no other reason than the stranger had the audacity to speak to Damien. But father is insistent that Damien try and behave more human-like in public. His words, not Damien's. Hence the trip to the arcade in the first place, its purpose being to fill his normal kid quota for the week. Still, it's worthy being wary that this stranger could sneak up on Damien in the first place. Not many can accomplish that, not without years of training. Damien inserts another token into the machine. The Choose Viking menu appears, poorly pixelized Viking ships bobbing at the edges of the screen. Yes, it's called talent, and I have it in spades, Damien responds. The man chuckles. I can see that. He sounds more amused than offended at Damien's rudeness. Unlike most civilians, Damien is unfortunate enough to endure their company of in public. You must play a lot of video games. Damien does not take his eyes off the game, nor his hand off the joystick. If you are a child molester, it is only fair that I inform you I know of 13 different ways to dislocate every joint in your body in under a minute. Weigh your options wisely. The man merely offers another chuckle. No one has any right to be so nonchalant about Damien's abilities as a qualified killing machine. He has framed certificates hung in his bedroom to prove it. Designed and printed by himself, of course. I'm not, but I'm glad you caught up on the Stranger Danger rules. Choose Viking used to be my favorite video game when I was your age, the stranger explains. I held the high score 3 straight years, you know. How fascinating, Damien says, completely unfascinated. His focus remains trained on the game, but he takes a few seconds between obstacles to examine the man's reflection in the corner of the screen. He's tall and lithe, with black hair and a dopey smile. He looks athletic, possibly some gymnastics background. His clothes are expensive, but not flashy. His relaxed stance seemingly poses no threat to Damien, but something about his frame suggests he's capable of more than he lets on. The stranger watches Damien play, passing through the first checkpoint with ease. It's child's play, if that wasn't already apparent with the inane arcade decor, and the persistent scent of corn chips and immaturity wafting in the air. Damien ventures, is there a reason a grown man is hanging around a place populated almost exclusively by prepubescent children? Or do I need to make some phone calls? The stranger snorts, unconcerned by the threat. Just taking a walk down memory lane. I used to come here with my little brother. Damien takes a short but thorough glance around the corner of the arcade. I don't see any little brother. The man shifts, crossing his arms. Discomfort? Pain? Yeah, I lost him a couple months back. Damien misses the next cheese wheel. Oh, sorry for your loss. That is what people are expected to say in these situations, right? The man shrugs. It's alright. I'll see him again someday. Damien barely refrains from rolling his eyes. How optimistic of you. I get that a lot. The man smiles fondly to himself. He was a great kid, hard shell to crack, but once you got to know him, he was as good as they come, even if he could be a little snot sometimes. Damien completes the level swiftly, his score only 4 seconds behind his personal best. The man claps Damien on the shoulder after Damien has turned to face him. Naturally, this would be the part where he receives a knife to the hand for that move, but Damien holds back for an odd reason he can't pinpoint. Nice job, kid. Damien slaps his hand away. I'm well aware. If you're waiting for a turn, then you can consider your prayers answered. He can hear the wheezing engine of Stephanie's sorry excuse for a car pulling up outside. She's 13 minutes late, which, for her, is 2 minutes early. The man gives Damien a sickeningly fond smile. God, how can anyone in this world be so happy without a hint of shame? Thanks, kid, but I've got to run. It was nice talking to you, though. He goes to pat Damien on the shoulder again. For some bizarre reason he couldn't explain if he tried, Damien let him. The man walks off, out of the arcade. The bell on the door chimes as he goes. It chimes again seconds later when Stephanie walks in. Damien stalks towards her. You're late, you know. I could have been in the back of a white van by now. Stephanie just laughs and rubs Damien's head. Like anyone would go to the trouble of kidnapping you. You'd bite their head off in a second. Damien clicks his tongue as they walk towards their car, parked at the curb. Of course not. A dagger is much more efficient. It's unbecoming, Tim knows, to be buying last-minute Christmas gifts, especially when the last-minute Christmas gift shopping is happening on Christmas Eve. He's at the one music store in Gotham that carries a selection of CDs broader than the owner's favorite Johnny Cash mixtapes, and the latest Minaj album on clearance. Tim has just been so busy lately that this is the first chance he's had free to shop since November. Either crime has picked up, or someone in the Batfamily is slacking, because they're bizarrely understaffed despite everyone being able-bodied and accounted for. Maybe it's the holiday season making the criminals pick up their pace. This would be leagues easier if Tim could just write people checks and have them buy their own Christmas gift. But then he'd get the inevitable complaints about how there's no heart in checks, and only people who give their family members money for Christmas are the elderly and old people who have the personality of a tadpole. The only person left on Tim's shopping list is Duke, thankfully. Duke prefers heavy metal above all other genres, so Tim picks out a few bands he recognizes from Duke's collection. Then he picks out some actually good music to balance it out for his poor, naive brother. Anyone who would pick Skrillex over Nirvana clearly needs a musical tune-up. A voice to Tim's left ear speaks up. "Hey, are you good with music?" Tim turns. It's a young guy, can't be older than his mid-20s. He's staring down the CD racks like they're going to bite him. He gestures to the sizable stack in Tim's hand. "You look like you got a lot there, so I'm assuming you know more about this stuff than me." Tim shrugs. "Everyone says my music taste sucks, actually. But I know some hits if that's what you mean." The guy chuckles. "I'm trying to shop for my little brother, and I have no clue what to get for him." Tim really doesn't have the time to spend helping some stranger with his last-minute holiday shopping. But something about the guy's earnest face has Tim asking, "What do you usually get him?" Well, every year he just asks for money to buy his own gift. But the only people who give out money on Christmas are the elderly, you know? It's not the same if you don't have anything to open. The dude takes the Rolling Stones album off the shelf and examines the cover. He's slightly tanned, Tim observes, with dark hair hanging slightly too long over his face. Tim can't pinpoint an ethnicity. Romani, maybe? I'm more of a Spotify guy myself, but he's attached to the physical stuff. Well, duh. It's the only correct way to listen to music. Tim still breaks out his dad's old record player when he's feeling particularly nostalgic. "What kind of music does your brother like?" The guy shrugs. His music taste is pretty awful. Mostly a lot of emo bands and K-pop. Tim frowns. K-pop is the music of the future. At least Tim has an advantage here. His music preferences are the very same. But if that's what your brother is into, I could help you look. I don't want to take up too much of your time, the dude adds, eyeing Tim's haul. I'm sure you're just as behind on your shopping as I am. Tim waves it off. It's no problem, really. I was planning on getting my older brother some pickle juice anyway. Tim helps him pick out a good variety of band albums, some Green Day, some Clash, some EXO. And while he's at it, Tim takes the opportunity to explain to this poor soul why Enya is a musical genius, and the Lord of the Rings soundtrack is clearly the best auditory experience in movie history. "You're sure he'll like all these?" the man asks afterwards, looking over his newly acquired collection. "If he doesn't, then he's got terrible taste," Tim says. That makes the guy laugh. "Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate all your help." He claps Tim on the back, then checks his watch. "I've got to run, but hey, Merry Christmas." "Yeah, you too." When Tim returns to his car after he's made his purchases and left the store, he almost didn't notice the stack of familiar-looking CDs sitting on the passenger seat. CDs he helped pick out himself 10 minutes ago. Tim runs the prints when he gets home, but nothing comes up. It's as if the man never existed in the first place. "Yes, Dad, I'll remember the cranberry sauce," Barbara says, her cell phone tucked between her ear and shoulder as she flips through her old battered copy of East of Eden. After a moment of deliberation, she tosses it into the donation box. With all the books on her Christmas wish list this year, it's only sensible to free up some room on her shelf in preparation. She's been meaning to do some spring cleaning since last April anyways. "I'm sorry, which of us has an eidetic memory?" she reminds her father. "That's right, me." She knocks her Twilight Saga book straight into the donations box, then puts the first one back on the shelf after a seizing moment of guilt. Damn you, teenage nostalgia. Fine, so it slipped my mind one time, but that was an emergency, and nobody cares about cranberry sauce anyway. Christmas is all about the desserts. Barbara and Jim have accepted Bruce's invitation to attend Christmas dinner tomorrow with the rest of the Wayne family. It'd be nice to spend some time with everybody without crime fighting involved. For a reason Barbara can't explain for the life of her, this year's holiday season has felt especially lonely, even though nothing has noticeably changed much from last year's. "I don't think Bruce will care if you buy him a gift or not," she says. "He's a billionaire anyway. He can buy 15 more of whatever you get him. Just bring a bottle of wine from your old man collection and call it even. At the very least, Alfred will appreciate it." She's nearly finished sorting through the selection of the bookshelf when a knocking comes from her apartment door. Strange, considering that she only ordered her noodles and pot stickers 5 minutes ago. "Extra speedy delivery?" "Sorry, Dad, someone's at the door. Yeah, I'll call you again later tonight. Love you too. Bye." Barbara maneuvers her chair carefully around the donation boxes and book piles strewn around her floor. It occurs to her how pleasantly unusual it is that the delivery man knocked instead of just ringing the doorbell, which her asshole landlord refuses to let her uninstall. Doorbells still give her the shivers, even all these years after the Joker's attack. She opens the door only to discover a man in a FedEx uniform, holding a box in his arms. "Barbara Gordon?" "That's me." The man strikes her as boyishly handsome, maybe a few years younger than her. His teeth are dazzling white when he grins. "I wasn't expecting a package," she says. The delivery man snorts. "You won't believe how often I get that around the holidays." He holds out a clipboard with a pin attached to a short chain at the top. "Mind signing for this?" Barbara takes the clipboard and signs. "The timing's stellar, actually. I was starting to run out of boxes." "Building a fort?" Barbara laughs. "Book donations. Spring cleaning, you could say." She hands him back the clipboard. "You're out of season, then, Babs." He hands over the package. The return address is blank. "From your secret admirer" is written across the top of the box in thick Sharpie. Barbara looks down. Right. She's wearing her old Black Canary concert tee. It's probably riddled with sweat stains by now from all the box lifting. "You're a fan?" "Big fan," he affirms. "Met her a few times, even." The man's eyes twinkle in amusement. "Was it a gift?" "Actually, For a second there, she had an answer, but it slipped away as soon as she reached for it. She knows she didn't buy it herself. Someone gave it to her, but the memory refuses to reveal itself, getting further away the more she thinks about it. I can't even remember. It was so long ago." The man opens his mouth like he wants to say something more, then closes it. He tips his hat. "Well, enjoy the gift. Have a nice night." He returns back the way he came, disappearing down the hall. Barbara takes the package inside, depositing it on the coffee table. She slices through the tape on top with the batarang from the secret compartment in her chair and pulls out the bubble-wrapped contents. It's a figurine? Further unwrapping reveals a ceramic circus carousel, painted in bright hues. According to the package, it even spins and plays music. Who would gift her this? Barbara fishes back in the box for an answer and finds a small note card at the bottom. "We'll laugh about this later." It says in handwriting she doesn't recognize, signed DG, except Barbara doesn't know anyone with the initials DG. None who would know her address, let alone send her something like this. She checks the address in case there was a mix-up, but nope, it's definitely addressed to her, name printed across the top of the package. There must have been a mistake, but it's too late to call the delivery guy back and question what the hell this is. The doorbell rings then, sending an instinctive shudder down Barbara's spine. Right, her dinner. She puts the carousel back in its bubble-wrap casing to re-examine another day. "More coffee, hon?" Jason looks at the waitress. She's holding aloft a fresh pot of coffee, smelling gently at him, almost like a grandmother. Not that Jason's had any grandparents to compare it to. "Thanks, that would be great," he says. She tops off his coffee, and Jason can feel her curious gaze on him. He supposes he can't begrudge her that. It's Christmas Eve, and the diner is nearly empty, but for Jason and his sad bar stool and his sad cup of coffee, and another guy in a booth at the back of the small space. Everyone else is spending the night with their families. Not Jason, though. "You know what? I'll take a slice of cherry pie, too, if you have it," he says after a moment. At least then he'll be doing something besides sipping his dirt coffee and dwelling on his own solitude. "You got it, hon." She disappears into the kitchen. Jason idly folds his napkin into a paper crane as Alfred taught him years ago. He wonders what the rest of his family must be doing right now. Maybe they're having family dinner together. Maybe they're trimming the tree. Maybe they're all out on patrol together because crime never sleeps, even on holidays. Not long after, the waitress has delivered Jason's pie with an extra dollop of whipped cream. Bless her. Does Jason hear a creak at the back of the diner? Footsteps approach leisurely, and then the seat next to Jason is being taken by the diner's only other customer. Jason acknowledges the stranger with a raised eyebrow. "Can I help you, pal?" The guy looks friendly enough. Dark hair, tan complexion, blue eyes. He has the kind of face that looks like it spends a lot of time grinning. Too friendly for a place like this, just 2 blocks from Crime Alley. He shrugs. "Gets lonely this time of year. Now we can both pretend we have a friend, yeah?" Fair enough, if a little strange. Jason tries his best to ignore the newcomer and digs into his pie. It's good as far as Gotham pies goes. Alfred's is better. "I take it you're alone for the holidays this year too?" The man asks. His arms are folded on the counter, absently spinning a bottle cap with his fingers. Jason makes his disinterest clear by focusing on his pie. "And every other day." The guy hums. "You got a family?" "Some. Too much. Not enough." Jason looks the guy up and down, eyes narrowed. "You?" "I've got plenty of family." He replies swiftly, then his eyes dim. "They're just not around at the moment. Not the way they should be." "Cool. That's not cryptic at all." The man bounces back fast, his tone brightening. "You know, my brother and I used to have this tradition back when we were younger." "That's so, Chatty Cathy." It's Jason's own fault for making himself seem approachable. He needs to start carrying more guns. "Yep. This is back when he was first adopted. He was still young enough to look up at me. Back then, before he got into his rebellious teen phase." He chuckles. "Anyways, his first Christmas with the family, we thought it would be hilarious to hide everyone's presents around the house. Kind of like Christmas and Easter combined, I guess you could say." The guy grins to himself at whatever precious childhood memory he's basking in. "It took us until noon to find them all. Our dad thought it was the most annoying thing in the world, but we loved it. So next year we did it all over again, and again until he died." Jason swallows. "Oh, sorry about that, man." The man shrugs it off. "It was a long time ago. That's the good thing about memories. They stick with you, even if you're the only one around to remember them." He looks at Jason, his smile lined, eyes probing. "How come you're not with your family?" "'Cause none of your beeswax, that's why." Jason retorts, taking another bite of his pie. The stranger doesn't back down, so Jason sneers. "I'm a fucking adult. If I want to turn down an invite to drink eggnog and decorate gingerbread houses with a bunch of goody-goodies, that's no one's damn business but my own." He jabs the fork pointedly at the stranger, especially creepoids and diners who clearly have no sense of privacy. The response would send any normal person backing down, but the stranger just quirks an eyebrow. "That's why you're sitting alone eating pie on Christmas Eve?" "I will stab you in the throat." The stranger, unconcerned, persists. "If you ask me," Jason didn't ask him, "I say you should spend as much time with your family while you still can. Even if it's just a stupid visit for the holidays. You never know when it can all get taken away, you know?" "Yeah?" Jason counters. "Why aren't you with your family then?" "Trust me, I would be if I could." The guy clears his throat after a moment, bringing back that damn smile that's no longer ridging his eyes. "Isn't that the curse? You never know what you have until you lose it, right?" Jason hates how correct he is. As someone who has lost and regained too many things over and over, Jason knows what it feels like to realize how precious even the most seemingly meaningless things can be. When Jason was in Arkham for the crimes he committed as Red Hood, back before his slow climb back into the Bat's favor, the thing he missed about his old life was getting chili dogs with Bruce after patrol. It was stupid, barely a blip in the grand constellation of Jason's life, but it meant the world to him. Jason stands, pushing back his empty plate. "Thanks for the Jedi wisdom, but I'm good." The man is unfettered by the dismissal. "Fair enough. Just think about it, all right?" Jason is already tossing a stack of bills on the counter and walking towards the front door of the diner. "I'll see you around, Jason." Jason blames the annoyance and creeping holiday nostalgia for the fact that it didn't occur to him until after he'd already left that Jason never told the man his name. Alfred knocks on the door of Bruce's study, prompting Bruce to look up from his computer for the first time in over 2 hours. If the sandpapery feeling against his eyelids is any indication. "I'll be down in a minute, Alfred. Promise." Bruce had been drafted into the night's holiday festivities, as have the rest of his family, so at least Bruce won't be alone in his forced jolliness. Alfred has already begun the preparations for Christmas brunch tomorrow morning, enlisting Duke and Stephanie's help in the kitchen. Poor souls drew the short straws this year. Bruce had been forbidden from patrolling tonight, as have the rest of them, save for Kate, who came over for Hanukkah earlier in the month. "You have a visitor," Alfred informs him. Hope ignites. Jay changed his mind? Alfred shakes his head, his mouth tight. "A young man claiming to be an old friend of yours. I did not recognize him, but he said he wouldn't leave until he was given an audience with you." Bruce's brows furrow as he shifts into a cautionary mode. He wasn't expecting anyone tonight, and if it were an ally with an emergency mission, they would have known to call him first on his Batman cell. "Business or civilian?" "The front gate scanners did not detect any weapons. If he is an enemy, he is not a very bright one to come here unarmed." That doesn't rule out any potential dangers, though. On Christmas Eve especially. "Name?" "He did not divulge that information, I'm afraid. Should I take precautionary measures?" "Send him in," Bruce says, closing his laptop. "I'll buzz if it becomes a problem." He's not about to disturb the kids in their Christmas Eve activities to be on guard for a threat. That may not even be a real threat at all. It's probably another journalist trying to weasel their way into what they've misled themselves into believing would be a killer scoop. Bruce was once followed into a public restroom by a gossip blogger looking for dirt on the first future Wayne heir after Bruce had adopted Jason. It wasn't long before Alfred is ushering the stranger into the room, giving Bruce the "call me if you need me to bring my shotgun" look as he leaves. Bruce stands at his desk appraising the newcomer. He's wholly unfamiliar. Black hair, blue eyes, gymnast build. He's slouching in a conscious effort to appear non-threatening, but the calculation in his gait suggests that if a fight were to break out, Bruce might be on an even footing with a stranger. There were 17 hidden weapons in and around his desk alone, should the need for them arise. Bruce speaks first. "There had better be a good reason you chose to show up at my home unannounced on a holiday." "Just stopping in for a visit," the man replies easily. "I'm an old friend." "So Alfred told me, but I don't recognize you." Bruce's hands itch for the battery he keeps secured under his desk, or the one in the lining of a swivel chair, or the one in the secret compartment of a shoe. The man smiles almost sadly. "And believe me, I would have been more subtle about it if I thought you wouldn't see through the act in a second. And the fake mustache routine is just too itchy for me." That sets all of Bruce's internal alarms blaring. "You have 30 seconds to tell me what your business is." The man holds up a pacifying hand. "Before you get paranoid, I know you're Batman, and you're trying to decide between going for the battering under the desk or the gas pellet in your Darth Vader bobblehead. Neither is necessary, I promise. I'm not a spy and I'm not a threat." "Explain," Bruce demands, his body cold to strike at the smallest provocation. "Now." The stranger snorts at him. "No, I was thinking I'd just keep this very important information to myself for a change. See what that gets me. God, you're always so dramatic." "Always. I don't even know you." The stranger sighs, running a hand through his hair. He looks tired and sad. "Yeah, that's the problem." He surveys Bruce's office, but it wasn't like he was casing the place or in search of something damning. His eyes are strangely fond as they linger on a framed photo on the wall. "I always liked that photo." It's one Bruce cherishes. One of him and Jason when he was younger, back before Ethiopia. "That's my oldest son, Jason. Is this what you came here to do? Pry into my personal things?" Bruce's rigid stance has not relaxed in the slightest. The man rolls his eyes dramatically, throwing his whole head into the motion. "Jesus, fine. Check your wallet, Bruce. The photo sleeves. Second from the top, below the family pic at Clark's farm." He takes a seat on the leather couch without being prompted, like he owns the place. Warily, Bruce takes his wallet from his back pocket. He unravels the sleeve of photographs he keeps tucked into the side pocket. He has no idea what he's supposed to be looking for. It's no secret that Bruce keeps his wallet packed with pictures of his children throughout the years. Damien and Cass and Tim and... Bruce's gaze shoots back up to the stranger. "How did you do this?" he snaps. Because there should not be a photo of an unfamiliar little boy in the topmost section of his photo compomendum. The miniature face of younger but unmistakable match to the one currently pouring himself a glass, with sparkling water from the pitcher on the side of the table. "Give it a minute," the man says, completely calm. "Is this some kind of joke?" "Christmas Eve, last year." The man sips his water. "Yumi and Alfred were up all night wrapping gifts because we were too busy handling an Arkham breakout to get to them until last minute. We forgot to label everything, so Duke got Steph's Backstreet Boys poster, and Cass got Jason's jacket. I spilled eggnog on you, and Damien laughed so hard, hot chocolate came out of his nose. The memories, they sound familiar, though Bruce knows they shouldn't. It's like he's listening to a story he used to know by heart decades ago. The pieces come together in disjointed fragments, blurry in some places and crystal clear in others. The blurriest part are the ones he tries the hardest to remember, knowing they must hold some importance in this foggy windshield that has become his hippocampus. In a dizzying rush, it clicks. The fog dissipates. Bruce's legs go weak with recognition. "Dick," he says, choked. Dick nods, his face lined with both relief and sorrow. "Hi, Bruce." "What? How?" Bruce can't remember the last time he saw Dick, the last time they spoke, the last time he even thought about his oldest son. Until 20 seconds ago, the name Dick Grayson did not exist in Bruce's universe. Even now, it's difficult to think about him, remembering the circus and the fall and Robin and Nightwing, grasping desperately for a dream he's already forgotten. The key details are there if he concentrates hard, but everything else is fading as fast as Bruce can pull them back. He's stumbling across the room to Dick before he fully comprehends the action, touching his son's face. Memorizing every detail he's forgotten, Dick looks exhausted. There's a small bruise yelling at his temple. Otherwise, it's the same as Bruce remembers, as he should remember. What happened to you? Why can't I remember? How could Bruce have forgotten his own son? It's a little hard to explain, Dick answers, but I'm working to fix it. A new enemy got his hands on the ominous satellite that Spiral used to erase the world's memories of me after I was unmasked. He altered it so that this time, instead of just forgetting I was Nightwing, the entire world forgot I existed at all. He rubs the back of his neck wearily. It's been a hard few months. Months, Bruce repeats. Dick had been alone and forgotten for months. But I'm already working on how to fix it. It's just taking a little longer than I expected. "Let me help you," Bruce tells him. "We can work the case together. If I remember you, then so can the others." Dick shakes his head. "It doesn't work like that, B. The second I leave this room, you're going to forget this entire conversation happened. Not even Alfred remembers that he let me in just now." Dick sounds so forlorn, it makes Bruce's stomach sink to the floor. "We've done this before," he concludes. Dick nods. "The first time I tried, I made the mistake of ambushing you during patrol. I still have the bruises." God, how many times have we done this? How many times has Bruce forgotten? Dick grimaces. "This will make 6. Bruce can't believe this. How could he forget someone so important and not even question the absence? Even now, every time he looks away from Dick's face, Bruce is already starting to forget what he looks like. The image refuses to stay planted in his mind. "When did you—" "The last time was 3 weeks ago," Dick confesses. "I stopped trying after that. It hurt too much when you just forgot me again, so I wasn't planning on coming back until this was all dealt with. But," he shrugs helplessly, "it gets lonely, not existing. I didn't want to spend the holidays completely alone." The image of Dick spending Christmas by himself in some safe house without even a tree to liven up the lonely months feels like a punch to the gut. "The others?" Bruce stares task. The corner of Dick's mouth lifts in an almost smile. "Tim figured out twice. Babs 3 times. But it never sticks." Bruce scrutinizes the family portrait on the wall behind Dick's head, one of his favorites, and he could have sworn that Dick was not right there in the middle before. One arm around Bruce and the other making bunny ears behind Jason's head. Bruce's eyes would simply slide right over Dick's smiling face whenever he looked at it. "There has to be a way," he says with a certainty he knows is just veiled desperation. "I'll write a note." Dick shakes his head solemnly. "We tried that already. 5 minutes after you wrote it, you mistook it for a scrap of paper and threw it away. The spell won't let you remember." How can this be happening? How can Bruce have lost so much time with one of the people he loves most in the world? What if it takes longer than Dick is expecting for the matter to be fixed? What if Bruce loses more months, years even? What if Dick is alone and forgotten forever? Dick rises from the sofa to put a comforting hand on Bruce's shoulder. "It's okay, Bruce, really. I won't take it personally, even if you guys don't remember. I still remember. I still remember all of it. Only because it's Christmas," is how Bruce reasons to himself when he throws his arms around Dick and pulls them in for a fierce hug. Only because it's long overdue, and he doesn't know when he'll be getting another one. He won't even miss it when he doesn't, and that's the most unbearable part of all of this. Dick sinks into the embrace, burying his face in Bruce's shoulder. I miss this, he breathes. I'll remember, Bruce promises, even while he knows he won't be able to keep it. He's already starting to forget how this conversation started. He can't remember if Dick's last name is actually Wayne, or if Bruce is just assuming it is because he can't recall the real one. Dick smiles sadly when they part. I'll see you around, Bruce. Merry Christmas. And then he leaves, shutting the door quietly behind him. The room already feels colder than it was a moment ago. Bruce looks around for a long moment, his eyes finally landing on the water ring left on the side table from his water glass. He mentally slaps himself and fetches a tissue to mop it up. Alfred is always getting on his back about using a coaster. Bruce doesn't know how he forgot it this time. The holiday stress must be getting to him. A knock on the door. Master Bruce? Alfred says, opening it without waiting for a response. Jason called. It seems he's changed his mind and is on the way here to spend the holiday with us. Bruce smiles. That's wonderful, Alfred. It will be nice having the whole family home for Christmas. Alright guys, and that is the end of Don't Forget About Me by So Hot That Everyone Died. I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you next video.